They laughed when she hid in a cave, then it saved the Alpha King's son. The night everything changed. The champagne glass shattered against marble before I could even scream. Welcome to my channel Crownfire Tales. Don't forget to like and subscribe because what I'm about to tell you will change everything you thought you knew about power, betrayal, and forbidden love. I stood frozen in the shadows of the Thornridge Estate's East Wing, watching my fiancé, the man I'd loved for 3 years, press another woman against the wall. But it wasn't just any woman. It was my half-sister, Vivian. And they weren't just kissing. They were laughing. Laughing about me. Poor little Margot, Vivian purred, running her manicured nails down Marcus's chest. Does she really think you'd marry her for love? A nobody from the outer territories with no pack, no power, no title? Marcus's response was a cruel smirk that made my stomach turn. The wedding's in 3 days. After that, her father's shipping company becomes mine. Then we can get rid of her. Accidents happen to weak wolves all the time. My wolf stirred inside me, the one everyone thought was defective, the one that had never fully emerged. But in that moment, standing in the hallway of the estate where I'd planned my wedding, something dark and ancient awakened in my chest. Not pain. Not heartbreak. Rage. I should have run. Should have confronted them. Instead, I turned and walked straight into a wall of solid muscle and the scent of pine smoke and midnight rain. Careful, little wolf. The voice was velvet and gravel, authority wrapped in danger. I looked up, into eyes that gleamed like molten silver in the dim light. Eyes that saw everything. Eyes that belonged to Kyrian Ashford, the Alpha King of the Northern Territories. The most powerful, and most feared, wolf in North America. The Alpha King's offer. "You're Margot Thorne," he said. It wasn't a question. His gaze swept over me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. The bride-to-be. I stepped back, my heart hammering. Everyone knew about Kyrian Ashford. The king who'd united 12 warring packs through force and strategic brilliance. The Alpha who'd killed his own father to take the throne. The man whose mere presence at my engagement party had sent the entire Thornridge household into nervous preparation for weeks. "Your Majesty." I managed a shaky curtsy, trying to school my features into calm neutrality even as my world crumbled behind me. His eyes narrowed. "You're crying." I touched my cheek. I hadn't realized. "I'm fine. Liars make terrible queens." The statement hung in the air between us, loaded with meaning I couldn't decipher. Before I could respond, his hand shot out, catching my wrist with surprising gentleness. He pulled me into a shadowed alcove as footsteps echoed down the hall, Marcus and Vivian, still laughing. Kyrian's large frame shielded me from view, his body radiating heat that made my wolf purr for the first time in years. We stood there, impossibly close, as my fiancé walked past with the woman who shared my blood. "Interesting," Kyrian murmured when they'd gone. He hadn't released my wrist. His thumb traced my racing pulse. "Your wolf likes me." "My wolf is broken," I whispered. "Is she?" His silver eyes seemed to glow. "Or has she just been waiting for someone worthy?" I should have pulled away. Should have thanked him and fled. Instead, I heard myself ask, "What did you mean about queens?" Kyrian smiled, and it was the smile of a predator who'd found fascinating prey. "I came to this tedious party for one reason, Margot Thorne. I need a queen. Not a simpering socialite or a political alliance wrapped in a pretty dress. I need someone with fire. Someone with rage. Someone who wants revenge as much as they want power." My breath caught. You knew? About Marcus and... "I know everything that happens in my territories," he interrupted. "Including the fact that your fiancé plans to kill you after the wedding. Also that your dear sister helped him orchestrate your father's recent accident at sea." The world tilted. My father's accident wasn't an accident? The ship explosion that left him in a coma? No. Kyrian's expression hardened. Marcus has been stealing from your family's company for 18 months. Your father discovered it. So they tried to eliminate him. You're next. Tears burned my eyes, but I blinked them back. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm offering you a choice. He leaned closer, his breath warm against my ear. Marry Marcus in 3 days and die within a month. Or come with me tonight, become my queen, and watch everyone who betrayed you burn. The impossible decision. You're insane, I breathed, but my wolf was howling with approval, straining toward this alpha whose power called to something primal in my blood. Probably, Kyrian agreed. But I'm also the only person in this mansion who sees you for what you really are. And what's that? His eyes locked on mine with an intensity that stole my breath. Dangerous. A laugh bubbled up in my throat, half hysteria, half revelation. I'm an Omega. Everyone says my wolf is defective. I have no pack, no power, no. You have me. The words were a growl that vibrated through my bones. If you're brave enough to take what I'm offering. Why? I demanded. Why me? You could have anyone. Because you have something I need. Kyrian's hand moved to cup my face with surprising tenderness. You're not bound to any pack. You have no political alliances. No one will mourn you if you disappear tonight, except perhaps your comatose father. And most importantly, his thumb traced my lower lip, and I felt that touch everywhere. You want them to suffer as much as I need a queen who won't flinch when I burn the world down. My mind raced. This was madness. Kyrian Ashford was notorious for his ruthlessness. Rumors said he'd eliminated 7 rivals in one night during the Blood Moon Purge. They said his wolf was touched by something ancient and dark. They said he felt nothing. But the man looking at me now didn't feel like nothing. He felt like a storm barely contained, like violence wrapped in control, like power that recognized power. What would you get out of this? I asked. A queen the other packs can't manipulate. Someone smart enough to see 3 moves ahead. Someone who owes me everything, and will therefore be loyal. His smile turned sharp. And the pleasure of watching your ex-fiancé's face when he realizes he lost everything by underestimating you. I don't know anything about being a queen. You know about shipping routes and international trade. You have a degree in economics from Stanford. You speak 4 languages. You've been running your father's company from the shadows for 2 years while everyone credited Marcus. Kyrian's eyes glittered. I've done my research, Margot. You're exactly what I need. The question is, am I what you need? The point of no return. I thought about Marcus's laughter. About Vivian's cruelty. About my father lying in a hospital bed, tubes keeping him alive while his empire was stolen from him. About the wedding dress hanging in my closet, a beautiful lie. About the fact that I'd spent 3 years making myself smaller, quieter, more acceptable. Trying to be the perfect Omega bride. And where had it gotten me? If I say yes, I said slowly, I need something from you first. Kyrian's eyebrow lifted. You're negotiating with an alpha king? You said you want someone smart. Someone who sees moves ahead. I lifted my chin. If I'm going to be your queen, I need to know you'll keep your word. So I want proof. Tonight. What kind of proof? I pulled out my phone, pulled up the security app for my father's company servers. Marcus changed all the passwords after my father's accident. He's locked me out of everything. If you're really as powerful as they say, if you really know everything happening in your territories, prove it. Get me back into my own company's system. Tonight. For a moment, Kyrian just stared at me. Then he laughed, a real laugh, warm and genuine and utterly unexpected from the cold king of legend. Dangerous, he repeated, pulling out his own phone. I like you, little wolf. He made a single call. Spoke 3 sentences. Hung up. Check your phone in 60 seconds. I counted. At 57 seconds, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number containing new administrative passwords, along with a detailed file showing 18 months of Marcus's embezzlement, complete with offshore account numbers and falsified shipping manifests. Everything I needed to destroy him. Still think your wolf is broken? Kyrian asked softly. I looked up at this alpha king who'd appeared in my darkest moment like fate wrapped in danger. Who saw past the weak omega everyone thought I was to something I'd barely glimpsed myself. I'll marry you, I said. But I have conditions. Name them. I want them to suffer. Not quick. Not clean. I want Marcus to lose everything, his reputation, his stolen fortune, his future. I want Vivian to watch her perfect life crumble. And I want to be the one who lights the match. Kyrian's smile was absolutely feral. My queen, he murmured, and the title sent electricity down my spine. I'm going to enjoy this. He held out his hand. Then let's go introduce you to your new life. I took it. His fingers closed around mine with possession and promise. One more thing, I said as he led me toward the servants' exit. When do they find out? About us? Kyrian's eyes gleamed with wicked amusement. At your wedding. When I object. Forbidden romance and secrets. The Queen's awakening. I woke up to silk sheets and the smell of cedar, my body aching in places I didn't know could ache. For 3 blissful seconds, I forgot everything. Then reality crashed back, the betrayal, the Alpha King, the impossible choice I'd made in a shadowed hallway just 12 hours ago. I sat up, clutching the sheets to my chest. The room was massive, all dark wood and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a mountain range I didn't recognize. This wasn't Thornridge. This wasn't anywhere near the city. You're awake. I spun toward the voice. Kyrian stood in the doorway, dressed in dark slacks and a partially unbuttoned white shirt that showed the intricate tattoos covering his chest, ancient pack symbols I'd only seen in history books. His silver eyes tracked my every movement like I was prey he was deciding whether to chase or devour. Where am I? My voice came out steadier than I felt. The Ashford Stronghold. Northern Mountains. About 300 miles from your former life. He moved into the room with that predatory grace, carrying a tray with coffee and what looked like fresh pastries. You slept through the helicopter ride. You drugged me? You were having a panic attack. He set the tray on the bedside table, sitting on the edge of the bed with casual possession. I gave you a mild sedative. You needed rest, and I needed you here before Marcus realized his bride had vanished. The memory of his hand on my face, his thumb stroking my temple as everything went soft and dark, it felt intimate. Too intimate for a man I barely knew. Has he realized yet? I asked, reaching for the coffee. My hands trembled slightly. Kyrian's smile was sharp. Oh yes. Your phone has 47 missed calls. Marcus is convinced you've been kidnapped. Your sister is pretending to be concerned while probably celebrating. And the Thornridge pack is in chaos because their guests include an Alpha King who's about to make their lives very complicated. Good. The word came out harder than I intended. I took a long drink of coffee, letting the warmth steady me. What happens now? Now? Kyrian's eyes gleamed. Now we talk about what you really are. The blood secret. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Your wolf isn't defective, Margot. He reached out, his fingers brushing my wrist where my pulse hammered. She's dormant because she's been suppressed. By someone who knew exactly what you'd become if she fully emerged. I pulled back. That's impossible. I've been tested by pack doctors since I was 13. Pack doctors paid by your stepmother. Kyrian's voice was gentle but unyielding. The woman who married your father when you were 6. The woman whose daughter is Vivian. The coffee cup froze halfway to my lips. What are you saying? I'm saying your stepmother, Helena, is a witch. A blood witch from the Blackthorn Coven. He pulled out a tablet, showing me a photo of a woman with dark hair and cruel eyes performing some kind of ritual. She's been dosing you with suppression herbs since you were a child. Weakening your wolf. Making sure you'd never be a threat to Vivian's position. The room spun. Why would she? Because you're not just any Omega, Margot. Kirian's hand caught my chin, forcing me to look at him. You're a Silvermane. The name hit me like a physical blow. The Silvermane bloodline, the legendary pack that had ruled the territories 200 years ago before they were wiped out in the Great Purge. They'd been hunted to extinction because their wolves were too powerful, too dangerous. That's mythology, I whispered. It's history. Kirian released my chin but didn't move away. Your father's bloodline traces back to the last Silvermane Alpha who went into hiding. He changed his name, married a human woman, and tried to dilute the bloodline. But genetics don't lie. You inherited it. And when Helena figured it out, when she saw your eyes flash silver during your first shift attempt, she panicked. My eyes don't flash silver. They're brown. Because she's been poisoning you for 15 years. His voice turned cold with fury. The herbs she gives you suppress your true nature. But now that you're away from her, now that you're in my territory where her magic can't reach, your wolf is going to wake up. And when she does, little queen, everyone who underestimated you is going to regret it. I wanted to call him crazy. But something inside me stirred, that dark, ancient thing that had awakened when I'd seen Marcus's betrayal. My wolf, responding to truth. Why do you care? I asked. Why go through all this trouble for? Because I need a Silvermane. The words were blunt. The other packs are circling, Margot. They smell weakness. They think because I have no queen, no heir, they can challenge me. But a Silvermane queen? His eyes burned into mine. That changes everything. That gives me the legitimacy and power to unite the territories under one rule. Forever. The price of power. The honesty should have scared me. Instead, it felt like relief, finally, someone who didn't lie. So this is political, I said slowly. A transaction. It's survival. Kirian stood, pacing to the windows. But it's also opportunity. For both of us. I give you the power to destroy everyone who hurt you. You give me the strength to hold my throne against those who'd see me dead. And if I can't access this supposed Silvermane wolf? If you're wrong? He turned, and his expression made my breath catch. Then I'll still burn your enemies to ash and give you a kingdom. Because even without your bloodline, Margot Thorne, you're exactly the queen I need. The words hung between us, loaded with meaning and promise and something dangerously close to admiration. Before I could respond, someone knocked. A woman entered without waiting, tall, elegant, with auburn hair and eyes that assessed me like a general surveying a battlefield. The mark? She asked Kirian without preamble. Not yet, Sarah. His voice held a warning. Not yet? The woman, Sarah, turned to me with barely concealed disdain. Your Majesty, forgive me for being blunt, but we have 72 hours before the Thornridge wedding. If you're claiming this girl as your queen, she needs your mark. Otherwise, every pack in the territory will see this as a kidnapping, not a mating. My hand instinctively went to my neck. The claiming mark, the bite that would broadcast to every wolf within 100 miles that I belonged to Kirian Ashford. I'm aware of protocol, Kirian said coldly. I'm also aware that forcing a mark before she's ready would be. I'll do it. Both of them stared at me. I stood, letting the sheet fall. I was still wearing the dress from last night, wrinkled, stained with champagne and tears. But I held my chin high. If this is happening, if I'm really becoming your queen, then we do it properly. I looked at Kirian. You said you wanted loyalty. You said you wanted someone who wouldn't flinch. So prove you meant it. Mark me. Tonight. In front of your pack. The claiming ceremony. Sarah looked impressed despite herself. She has spine. I told you she was dangerous, Kirian murmured, but his eyes never left mine. Are you sure, Margot? The claiming mark is permanent. There's no going back. There was no going back the moment I took your hand last night. I moved closer to him, ignoring the way my wolf held with approval. Besides, I want Marcus to know. I want him to feel the exact moment I become untouchable. Kirian's smile was slow and absolutely predatory. Then we'll give them a show they'll never forget. The next 6 hours were a blur. Sarah, who turned out to be Kirian's head of security and the closest thing he had to family, took charge of my transformation. I was bathed in oils that smelled of wolfsbane and silver sage. Dressed in a gown that was more armor than fabric, white silk with threads of actual silver woven through it, cut to show my shoulders and neck. The silver mane colors, Sarah explained as she worked. If you really carry that blood, this will enhance it. And if you don't? She met my eyes in the mirror. Then you'll still look like a queen when the Alpha King claims you. You don't trust me, I observed. I don't trust anyone. Her hands were surprisingly gentle as she styled my hair. But Kirian does, and that's unusual. He doesn't let people close. Not since his father tried to kill him. I'd heard rumors about that, the night Kirian had killed the old Alpha King in self-defense, taking the throne through blood right. Were you there? I asked. That night? Sarah's reflection met mine. I'm the one who gave him the knife. Before I could process that, she stepped back. You're ready. The woman in the mirror looked nothing like Margot Thorne, the meek Omega bride. She looked like violence wrapped in silk. Like a queen carved from moonlight and rage. One more thing. Sarah handed me a small velvet box. Inside was a ring, a massive diamond surrounded by silver wolf designs. This was Kirian's mother's. The last true queen of the Northern Territories. She died when he was 12. I can't. He wants you to have it. Sarah's voice softened. Take care of him, Margot. He won't admit it, but he's been alone too long. A king without a queen is just a man waiting to be overthrown. The mark that changed everything. The great hall of the Ashford stronghold was packed. Every high-ranking wolf from Kirian's territory, all dressed in formal pack attire, watching with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion as I walked down the aisle on Sarah's arm. Kirian waited at the altar, dressed in black with silver ceremonial armor across his shoulders. He looked every inch the warrior king, powerful, dangerous, absolutely in control. Until his eyes found mine. Something flickered in that silver gaze, surprise, desire, and something deeper that made my wolf surge against the suppression still holding her back. You look like a Silvermane, he murmured when I reached him. I look like your queen, I corrected. The pack elder began the ancient rites, but I barely heard them. My entire world had narrowed to Kirian's eyes, his scent, the heat radiating from his body as he took my hands. This is your last chance to walk away, he said softly, meant only for me. Once I mark you, you're mine. In every way that matters. Then make sure everyone knows it, I breathed. Kirian's eyes flashed pure silver, his wolf rising. He pulled me close, one hand tangling in my hair, tilting my head to expose my throat. Mine, he growled, and the entire hall felt it, the weight of an alpha's claim. His teeth sank into the junction of my neck and shoulder. The pain was excruciating, like lightning and fire and ice all at once. But underneath it, something else happened. The suppression that had held my wolf dormant for 15 years cracked. And she roared to life. Power exploded through me. My vision sharpened, colors becoming impossibly vivid. I could hear heartbeats, smell fear and arousal and shock from the assembled wolves. My eyes, I knew without looking, had turned silver. True silver. Silvermane silver. Kirian pulled back, blood on his lips, his eyes wide with something like awe. By the moon goddess, he breathed. You're magnificent. The hall had gone completely silent. Every wolf was staring at me with shock and recognition and, in some cases, fear. Because they could all feel it now. The ancient bloodline that had been awakened. The power that marked me as something more than Omega, more than even Alpha. I was a Silvermane. And I had just become the most powerful queen the territories had seen in 2 centuries. Well, Sarah said from the front row, a rare smile crossing her face. That complicates things. My phone, tucked into Sarah's pocket, began to buzz. She glanced at it, then looked at Kyrian. It's Marcus, she said. He's demanding to speak with Margot. He says if she's not returned within 24 hours, he's going to the council and accusing you of kidnapping. Kyrian's arms tightened around me, possessive and protective. Then I suppose we should invite him here. Let him see exactly what he lost. I smiled, and I knew it looked dangerous. Better yet, let's crash my own wedding. The ultimate power and revenge. The Wedding Crashers. The suppression breaking felt like being reborn through fire. For 3 days, I burned. My body transformed as my Silvermane wolf finally emerged, stronger, faster, more aware than I'd ever imagined possible. Kyrian stayed with me through every agonizing hour, his presence the only thing that kept me anchored as centuries of dormant power flooded my system. You're doing beautifully, he murmured on the 3rd night, wiping sweat from my forehead as another wave of transformation rolled through me. Just a little longer, little queen. It hurts, I gasped, my nails, now claws, digging into his arms hard enough to draw blood. I know. He kissed my temple with surprising tenderness. But pain is just weakness leaving your body. And you, Margot, were never weak. You were just sleeping. When I finally opened my eyes on the morning of what should have been my wedding day, everything had changed. I could hear conversations happening 3 floors below. Smell the fear of the guards stationed outside our door. See the individual threads in the tapestry hanging across the room. And my wolf, she was glorious. Silver and powerful and absolutely furious at 15 years of chains. How do you feel? Kyrian asked, watching me with those intense eyes from where he sat in a chair by the window. Like I could tear down mountains. I sat up, surprised at how steady I felt. Like I'd been living in a cage my entire life and someone just handed me the key. Good. He stood, moving toward me. Because today, we're going to destroy everyone who put you in that cage. The trap is set. Sarah burst into the room without knocking, tablet in hand. Marcus just arrived at the Thornridge estate with half the southern pack as backup. He's threatening war if you don't return his bride within the hour. I looked at Kyrian. He really thinks he can threaten an Alpha King? He thinks he has the moral high ground. Kyrian's smile was razor sharp. A poor victim whose innocent bride was stolen on the eve of their wedding. He's already spun the narrative, you were confused, manipulated by the big bad Alpha King who wants to destabilize the region. And the council? I asked. The Territorial Council was the only governing body that could challenge an Alpha King's authority. They've called an emergency session. Sarah's expression was grim. Tonight. At the Thornridge estate. They want you to appear, explain yourself, and face Marcus's accusations. Perfect, I said, sliding out of bed. I was wearing one of Kyrian's shirts, and it fell to mid-thigh. We'll give them a performance they'll never forget. Kyrian moved closer, his hand cupping my face. Are you sure you're ready for this? Once we walk into that room, there's no going back. They'll see what you are. What we are together. Some of them won't like it. Some of them tried to kill my father and planned to murder me. My eyes met his, and I knew they were glowing silver. I'm more than ready. His thumb traced my jaw. Then let's show them what happens when you awaken a Silvermane. The Council of Wolves. The Thornridge estate was ablaze with lights and tension when we arrived. Kyrian had insisted on making an entrance. We came by helicopter, landing directly on the front lawn where the wedding tent still stood like a monument to my former life. I stepped out wearing a dress that Sarah had commissioned from Kirian's personal designer, midnight blue that shifted to silver in the light, cut to show the claiming mark on my neck. My hair was loose, silver white now instead of mousy brown, another gift from my Silvermane awakening. Marcus was waiting with Vivian and Helena, flanked by at least 30 wolves. His face when he saw me, the shock, the fury, the desperate hunger, it was almost worth the 3 years I'd wasted on him. Margot. He stepped forward, his voice filled with false concern. Thank God you're safe. We've been so worried. Have you? I interrupted, my voice carrying with alpha authority that made several wolves flinch. How touching. Tell me, Marcus, were you worried before or after you changed the passwords to my father's company? His face paled. I don't know what lies the Alpha King has told you, but... Lies? Kirian's voice cut through the crowd like a blade. He moved to stand beside me, his presence making Marcus instinctively step back. Interesting word choice. Shall we discuss lies? Like the one where you claimed to love Margot while embezzling from her family? Or the one where you and her dear sister plotted her father's murder? Vivian gasped dramatically. How dare you? Our father's accident was a carefully planned execution that failed. I pulled out my phone, projecting the files Kirian had given me onto the large screen behind us. Bank records. Shipping manifests. Audio recordings of Marcus and Vivian discussing the bomb they'd planted on my father's ship. The crowd erupted. Council members shouted questions. Helena went gray. This is fabricated. Marcus roared, his wolf rising. She's been manipulated by Ashford, he probably created these files himself to justify kidnapping my fiancé. Your fiancé? Kirian's laugh was dark and dangerous. She was never yours, Marcus. She was just convenient. But let me clarify something for everyone here. He pulled me close, his hand possessive on my waist. Margot isn't anyone's victim. She's my queen. By her choice. By blood right. By the claiming mark that every wolf in this territory can feel. She's an Omega. Marcus spat. A defective wolf with no pack, no power. I'm a Silvermane. The words dropped into the crowd like a grenade. Silence fell, absolute and suffocating. I stepped forward, letting my wolf rise. My eyes blazed silver, true Silvermane silver. Power radiated from me in waves that made even the council elders step back. My name is Margot Silvermane Ashford, I said, my voice carrying with supernatural clarity. Daughter of the last hidden bloodline. Queen of the Northern Territories. And I'm here to reclaim what's mine. The truth unleashed. Helena finally moved, her face twisted with rage and fear. You little bitch. You were supposed to stay weak. Supposed to stay dormant. Mother. Vivian gasped, but Helena ignored her. I spent 15 years suppressing your wolf. Helena shrieked, her composure completely shattered. 15 years of herbs and spells and carefully measured doses to keep you docile and useless. You were supposed to marry Marcus, sign over the company, and die quietly like your pathetic father. The confession hung in the air, witnessed by 200 wolves and 5 council elders. Vivian stared at her mother in horror. You poisoned her? You tried to kill Uncle James? For you. Helena screamed at her daughter. Everything I did was for you. So you wouldn't have to live in the shadow of a Silvermane. So you could be the powerful one, the important one. So you could control the Thorn fortune, I corrected coldly. Let's not pretend this was maternal love. You married my father because you sensed power in his bloodline. And when you realized I inherited it instead of your daughter, you decided to eliminate the competition. I turned to the council. I have medical records showing 15 years of poisoning. I have proof that Helena is a blood witch who violated the supernatural compact by using harmful magic on a pack member. And I have every text message, every email, every recorded conversation of her conspiracy with Marcus to commit murder and fraud. One of the council elders, an ancient wolf named Catherine, stepped forward. This is unprecedented. A Silvermane. A blood witch. Accusations of murder. Her eyes swept over me. Can you prove your bloodline? She doesn't have to prove anything, Kyrian growled, but I touched his arm. It's all right. I looked at Catherine. What do you need? Your wolf. Full shift. If you're truly Silvermane, it will be unmistakable. I nodded. Around me, wolves began backing away, giving me space. Kyrian's hand found mine, squeezing once before releasing me. The silver wolf. I closed my eyes, reaching for my wolf, the magnificent creature that had finally been set free. She came with a roar that shook the ground. The shift was instantaneous, effortless, nothing like the painful transformations I'd struggled with as a teenager. My body flowed from human to wolf like water taking shape. And when I opened my eyes, the entire courtyard gasped. My wolf was massive, larger than any female wolf they'd ever seen, nearly the size of an alpha male. My fur was pure silver that seemed to glow with its own light. My eyes blazed like molten metal. And on my forehead, visible even through fur, was a crescent moon marking, the legendary symbol of the Silvermane bloodline. I was legend made flesh. I was the nightmare every pack had feared for 2 centuries. I was vengeance wearing silver. Catherine dropped to one knee, her eyes wide. By the moon goddess. The prophecy. The other council members followed, kneeling. Then the guards. Then every wolf in the courtyard, except Marcus, Vivian, and Helena. Kyrian shifted beside me, his massive black wolf standing shoulder to shoulder with my silver one. Together, we were unstoppable, darkness and light, power and control, king and queen. Marcus finally found his voice. This is impossible. The Silvermanes were exterminated. They're extinct. I shifted back to human form, standing naked and unashamed as Sarah rushed forward with a robe. We were hidden, I said softly, dangerously. Waiting. And now we're awake. I turned to the council. I invoke ancient right. As a Silvermane, as the Queen of the Northern Territories, I demand justice for the crimes against my family. Catherine nodded slowly. What justice do you seek? The Queen's judgment. I looked at Helena first. You're a blood witch who violated the compact. You poisoned a pack member for 15 years. You attempted murder. The penalty is clear, banishment. Strip her of her magic, cast her out of pack lands, and mark her as outcast. If she returns, she dies. Helena screamed as 2 guards moved forward, but I wasn't finished. Vivian. My half-sister was crying, shaking. You participated in fraud and stood by while your mother poisoned me. But you didn't know about the murder attempts until tonight. I could smell your shock when Helena confessed. I paused, feeling Kyrian's strength beside me. You're exiled. You keep nothing. You leave with the clothes you're wearing. Consider it mercy. Vivian collapsed, sobbing, but nodded. Then I turned to Marcus, and my smile was absolutely cold. You embezzled millions. You tried to kill my father. You planned to murder me. You betrayed every trust, every promise, every moment we shared. I moved closer to him, watched him try to hold his ground and fail. I should kill you. Kyrian would do it without hesitation. But that would be too quick. I pulled out my phone, pulling up a live stream of my father's hospital room. Dad's awake, I said softly. The antidote for Helena's poison is working. And he's very interested in pressing charges. Federal charges. Human law, not pack law. Marcus's eyes widened with fear. Wolves could survive pack punishment, but human prison? That was a different kind of hell. The FBI is already investigating your fraud, I continued. With the evidence I provided, you're looking at 25 to life. In a human prison. Where your wolf can't protect you. Where every day will be a reminder that you tried to defeat a Silvermane and lost. You can't do this. Marcus lunged at me, shifting mid-leap. He never reached me. Kyrion's wolf intercepted him midair with a snarl that rattled windows. They crashed to the ground in a tangle of fur and fury, but the fight was over in seconds. Kyrion's jaws closed around Marcus's throat, not killing, but dominating. Holding. Waiting for my command. I could end him. One word, and Kyrion would tear out his throat. But I remembered something my father once told me: the best revenge isn't violence. It's living well while your enemies watch from the ashes. Let him live, I said quietly. Let him face human justice. Let him spend decades in a cell, thinking about the Omega he underestimated. Kyrion released Marcus with a disgusted growl, shifting back to human. Your mercy is more terrifying than my violence, my queen. I learned from the best, I said, taking his hand. 6 months later. I stood in my father's office, my office now, looking out over the harbor. The company had been restructured, the stolen funds recovered. My father was fully recovered and served as my advisor, finally able to be proud of the daughter he'd always believed in. Marcus was in federal prison awaiting trial. Vivian had disappeared into obscurity. Helena had been stripped of her magic and was last seen living in poverty in a human city, powerless and forgotten. And me? I was the queen of the Northern Territories, the CEO of Thorn Shipping, and the first Silvermane to publicly exist in 200 years. Kyrion's arms wrapped around me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder. Thinking about revenge? Thinking about how strange life is. I leaned back against him. 6 months ago, I thought my biggest problem was choosing wedding flowers. Now I'm ruling a territory and rebuilding a bloodline. Regrets? His voice was casual, but I felt the tension in his body. I turned in his arms, looking up at the man who'd saved me by letting me save myself. Only that I didn't realize sooner what I could become. His kiss was deep and claiming, tasting of possession and partnership. When we finally broke apart, his silver eyes were glowing. The council officially recognized our union yesterday, he murmured against my lips. Which means you're not just my queen in name anymore. You're the queen of the territories. The most powerful female wolf in North America. And what does that make us? I asked. Unstoppable. His smile was absolutely wicked. But there's one more thing we need to discuss. He dropped to one knee, pulling out a ring I'd never seen before, different from his mother's ring I wore. This one was silver and moonstone, carved with wolves running together. I claimed you that first night out of necessity, Kyrion said, his voice low and intense. But I'm asking you now, not as a king needing a queen, but as a man who fell in love with a woman who reminds him what it means to be brave. Margot Silvermane, will you marry me? Really marry me? Not for politics or power, but because we're better together than apart. Tears filled my eyes, happy tears this time. Yes. 1,000 times, yes. As he slid the ring on my finger and pulled me into his arms, I heard howling from the courtyard below. The pack, celebrating their queen's engagement. Do you hear that? Kyrion whispered against my hair. That's the sound of a territory that finally has hope. That's what you gave them. What you gave me. We gave it to each other, I corrected. And as the moon rose over our territory, I realized something profound. I'd started this journey thinking I needed saving. But what I'd really needed was to remember that I'd always had the power to save myself. I just needed someone to believe in me first. Epilogue, 1 year later. The wedding was nothing like the one I'd planned with Marcus. This was power and pageantry, witnessed by every alpha in North America and broadcast to PAX worldwide. As I walked down the aisle in a dress made of silver silk that seemed to flow like liquid moonlight, I saw my father crying with pride. Saw Sarah standing as my maid of honor, looking almost emotional. Saw the assembled PAX bowing as I passed, not in submission, but in respect. And at the altar stood Kyrion, dressed in ceremonial armor, His eyes locked on me with such fierce love that my wolf howled with joy. "Ready to rule the world, little queen," he murmured as I took his hand. "I thought we already did," I teased. His laugh was warm. "True. But I figured we should make it official." As we spoke our vows under the full moon, as our wolves united in a bond that went deeper than marking, I thought about the girl who'd hidden in a cave of betrayal 12 months ago. She'd thought she was broken. Thought she was weak. But she'd been a sleeping dragon all along. And when she finally woke up, the whole world learned to respect the name Silvermane. Because the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies. It's becoming so powerful that they destroy themselves trying to reach you. And I had become unstoppable. The end.